welcome back to my channel Online Microbiology, and today our topic is 12th topic in TS paper 2, which is a biological classification of plants. So in this video we are going to discuss about the biological classification of plants. In the upcoming video we can discuss about the classification of animals. So what is meant by biological classification means classification of living organisms into different kingdoms, phylums and so on. So what is the need of biological classification means? So if we take an example of a school, so a school consists of many classes, and the classes itself contains many sections, and the sections itself contain students of different roll numbers or registered numbers. So likewise plants are divided or classified into several categories. So we first discuss about the biological classification. So biological classification was first proposed by Aristotle. So classification of plants was first started by the Aristotle. He used simple morphological characters, means only plant's height, plant size. So he used only those simple morphological characters for the classification. So he classified plants into herbs, shrubs and trees based on their sizes, where herbs are the small sized trees and shrubs are larger than the herbs and trees are the large size. So he also classified animals into two groups as the animals containing red blood and the animals not containing red blood. So this is about the classification by Aristotle, and later Linnaeus proposed two kingdom classification, where he classified all living organisms into two kingdoms, that is Plantae and Animalia. So according to Linnaeus, he classified all living organisms into only two kingdoms, such as Plantae, and the other one is Animalia. So he classified on the basis of considering cell wall. So the organisms which are containing cell wall are grouped under the kingdom Plantae, and the organisms which do not contain cell wall are placed under the kingdom Animalia. So this system was not accepted because there are certain microorganisms that do not fall under both categories. So R.H. Whittaker proposed a 5 kingdom classification. So he classified the living organisms into 5 kingdoms. The 5 kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. And the criteria based on which he classified the living organisms are cell structure, whether the cell is prokaryotic or eukaryotic, and thallus organization, which is whether the plant contains roots, stems and leaves, and the mode of nutrition means whether the living organism is photosynthetic, which means whether it can prepare their own food material, or heterotrophic, means it depends on other organisms for its food. So we need to understand that some acellular organisms like viruses, viroids and lichens are not included in the 5 kingdom classification. So let us first understand about the kingdom Monera. So in kingdom Monera, the living organisms are prokaryotes, means they do not contain definite nucleus, and the nucleus is distributed in the cytoplasm and are unicellular, made up of single cells. And this kingdom also includes some well-known bacteria, and the organisms in this kingdom are autotrophic or heterotrophic or parasites. So this is divided into archaebacteria, eubacteria, mycoplasma and actinomycetes. So let us first discuss about the archaebacteria. So archaebacteria members live in harsh habitats, and they are special members because they live in harsh climates, means halophiles, dermoacidophiles and methanogens. So halophiles means the bacteria which grow under high salt conditions, and dermoacidophiles means higher temperatures or hot springs, and methanogens means high acidic conditions. So as we can see this cell structure, the cell wall is not made up of peptidoglycan, and instead of peptidoglycan their cell wall contains branched lipids. So this branched lipids is helpful for these archaebacteria to grow in these habitats, and it also contains methanogens. So methanogens are present in the guts of cows, and these methanogens are also present in the dung and are used for the preparation of methane gas, which is nothing but the biogas. So this is all about the archaebacteria. It also includes certain bacteria. So based on the shape of the bacteria may be cocci, bacilli, spiral or vibrio. So round shaped bacteria is called cocci, rod shaped bacteria is called bacilli, and the spiral shaped bacteria is called spirillum, and the comma shaped bacteria is called vibrio. So this is all about archaebacteria. So let us understand about the eubacteria. Eu means true and bacteria itself bacteria. So this group includes true bacteria, and this bacteria contains a rigid cell wall, and the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, and the plasma membrane invaginates inside to form mesosome. And the genetic material is in this bacteria, the genetic material do not contain a definite wall and it is naked. And this also do not contain a specialized cell organelles, and ribosomes is present. And this group includes cyanobacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria and heterotrophic bacteria. So best example of cyanobacteria is a blue-green algae, and this is a photosynthetic bacteria. As we all know that plants perform photosynthesis, but bacteria also perform photosynthesis, and the example of photosynthetic bacteria is a blue-green algae, because this contains a chlorophyll A, which is similar to the chlorophyll present in the plants, and it is unicellular and colloidal, and it contains a special cells called heterosis for the fixation of nitrogen into the bacteria, and also these form algal blooms. And the second one is a chemosynthetic bacteria. These are useful for incorporating nitrate, nitrites and ammonia into them, and they are useful for the recycling of nutrients. And the third one is heterotrophic bacteria, and these are decomposers. And this is all about eubacteria. And let us discuss about the mycoplasma. And as we studied earlier, archaebacteria and eubacteria contains a cell wall, but mycoplasma do not contain a cell wall, and these are the smallest living organisms that are surviving without the oxygen. And mycoplasma are the pathogenic, means they can cause diseases. For example, they can cause witch's broom disease in plants, pleuropneumonia in cattle, and mycoplasma urethritis in humans. So you need to understand these examples so that you can answer those questions in your exam. And the fourth one is actinomycetes. So in the actinomycetes members, the cell wall is made up of mycolic acid, and they are saprophytic, means they feed on the dead organic matter, and they are useful for the production of antibiotics. So it is this is all about the kingdom Monera and its groups. Now let us discuss about the kingdom Protista. So kingdom Protista contains unicellular eukaryotic microorganisms, and these kingdom do not contain a definite boundaries, because it forms a link with the plants, animals and fungi. And this also includes autotrophs and heterotrophs, and these are mainly aquatic, and some of them contains flagella or cilia. So flagella or cilia are the thread-like structures useful for the motility. And it also includes kingdom Protista includes chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans. So what are chrysophytes means? These includes diatoms and desmids. So here point to remember is desmids is also called as golden algae. And these are the photosynthetic protists, and these are the chief producers in ocean. So in the previous topic we learned about the photosynthetic bacteria, which is then a blue-green algae. Here photosynthetic protista is chrysophytes. So these are the chief producers in ocean. So in on the land, by the process of photosynthesis, plants prepare food material. So what is the use of photosynthesis in aquatic organisms means, when these organisms undergo photosynthesis, they liberate oxygen, which is used for the fishes and other aquatic forms in the oceans. And these also present in fresh water and marine water, and these are the small microscopic structures, and they float freely on the water surface, hence they are called as planktons. And when we discuss about the cell wall, their cell wall is made up of a cell silica, as we can see in a soap box where the top and bottom layers are present. Likewise in the chrysophytes, the cell wall layers are present one above the other, and the cell wall is made up of silica. And when their cell wall deposits are remained, they combine together and form diatomaceous earth, so which is used for the polishing and filtration of oils and syrups. So this is about chrysophytes. And discussing about dinoflagellates, these are mostly marine and photosynthetic, and they exhibit yellow, green, brown, blue or red colors based on the pigments present in them. And the cell wall contains stiff cellulosic plates, and these grow to and red dinoflagellates undergo rapid multiplications and results in the red tides in the oceans. So red tides in the oceans is due to red dinoflagellates. And euglenoids are the freshwater organisms. They do not have a cell wall but have protein-rich layer called pellicle, and they are photosynthetic and heterotrophic. Photosynthetic means they can prepare their own food materials, and heterotrophic means they can depend on other organisms for their food. So slime molds are the saprophytic, and under suitable conditions they produce a plasmodium where it extends over the particular length. And protozoans, these live as parasites and predators. So these include amoeboid protozoans, flagellated, ciliated and sporozoans. So sporozoans include the malarial parasite called plasmodium, which causes malaria in human beings. So this is about Protista. So let us discuss about the kingdom fungi. So kingdom fungi includes heterotrophic eukaryotes and saprophytes, and it also includes lichens, and this is the most important point. Lichens is the symbiotic association between bacteria and fungi. So bacteria and fungi together involve in the nitrogen fixation, and their combination or symbiotic association is called lichens. And in the fungi, the vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation, fission and budding. So in the fragmentation, the entire the body is divided into separate fragments, and each individual produces from that fragment. And the sexual reproduction is produced by conidia or zoospores, and sexual reproduction occurs by oospores, ascospores and basidiospores. And this includes common moulds, mushrooms and penicillin. As we know, mushrooms which is nothing but the mushrooms we eat, and the penicillin is useful for the production of penicillium antibiotic. And this class includes Phycomycetes, Ascomycetes, Basidiomycetes and Eutromycetes. So in the Phycomycetes, the sexual reproduction takes place by zoospores and aplanospores, and the spores are endogenously produced, which is produced inside. And the examples of this group are mucor, rhizopus and albugo. Mucor is the fungi which causes diseases, and rhizopus and albugo. And Ascomycetes is called a sac fungi. This class includes Penicillium and Saccharomyces. So Penicillium is used for the production of penicillin antibiotic, and the Saccharomyces which is commonly called Baker's yeast. And the Basidiomycetes, the sexual reproduction takes place by fragmentation. It includes the mushrooms we eat, and it is called toadstools, and the bracket fungi and puffballs. And Eutromycetes is also called as imperfect fungi because it's a sexual reproduction, vegetative reproduction, not known clearly. So this is about the kingdom fungi. So let us understand about the important topic, which is kingdom plantae. So plants, kingdom plantae is classified into cryptogams and phanerogams. So cryptogams is called non-flowering plants, and the phanerogams is called flowering plants. So the cryptogams include algae, bryophyta and Terodophyta, means they do not contain flowers. And the phanerogams include gymnosperms and angiosperms. So let us first understand about the algae. So the algae are the simple forms, and the containing chlorophyll, and they are autotrophic, which is nothing but they can prepare their own food materials, and they're aquatic, and in these organisms the reproduction takes place by vegetative, asexual and sexual methods. So this class includes this kingdom includes three classes: class Chlorophyceae, class Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae is called the green algae, Phaeophyceae is called brown algae, and Rhodophyceae is called the red algae. And these are divided based on the chlorophyll and the stored food material. So Chlorophyceae members are green algae, unicellular and collinear or filamentous forms. These are commonly called as a glass green, and they contain chlorophyll A and B. And in these, the food materials are stored in the specialized structures called pyrenoids, and the stored food material in Chlorophyceae members is a protein. Examples include Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Eulothrix, and Spirogyra. And the Phaeophyceae members are the brown algae. These are branched forms, example kelps, and in these the pigments are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll C, xanthophylls and carotenoids. And the stored food material is a laminaria or a mannitol. Here the plant body contains a holdfast, stalk, stripe and a frond. Examples are ectocarpus and laminaria. And the Rhodophyceae members are called red algae because they contain R-phycoerythrin pigment. And the storage food material is a Floridian starch. Examples are Porphyria, Polysiphonia and Gracidia. So this is about algae. Next, let us discuss about the bryophytes. So bryophytes, the main point to remember is bryophytes are called as amphibians of plant kingdom. Why? Because means they live in the land, and for the sexual reproduction they require water, hence they are called as amphibians of a plant kingdom. And this contains root-like and stem-like structures. And in these, the male sex organ is called antheridium and the female sex organ is called archegonium. And here again it contains liverworts, hornworts and mosses. So here let us understand the cycle of bryophytes. So as we can see here, this is in a plant body which is called as a gametophyte, and this is called as a sporophyte. So here gametophyte is a haploid, which is a N condition, and sporophyte is a diploid condition to N condition. So what happens in this cycle means, here antheridia, which is nothing but a female sex organ, is present on one gametophyte and male sex organ is present on another gametophyte. So when male sex organ releases the male gametes enter the water and reaches the female sex organ. So here the male gametes fuse and form a diploid structure called a sporophyte. So when in the sporophyte there is a special structure called a capsule. So capsule contains spores. When it opens and releases spores, the spores again form into male and female thalluses. So it is about the cycle in bryophytes. So as we can see in liverworts, hornworts and mosses, liverworts grow in moist and shady climates. Example is Markantia. Here the sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta and capsule. So capsule contains spores. And the hornworts contains pseudoelotes, means they contains false elotes for the opening of the capsule. Example is Anthoceres, and the mosses examples are Funaria and Sphagnum. So this is about bryophytes. So let us discuss about the Terodophyta. So they include ferns and horsetails, and they also have medicinal properties. And the first terrestrial living organisms containing vascular system. So vascular system includes xylem and phloem. So xylem is useful and phloem is useful for the transport of water and food materials from the roots to the tip of the plant. So Pteridophyta are the first organisms containing a vascular system, and the plant body is a sporophyte and it is differentiated into true roots, stems and leaves. The sporophyte contains a sporangia. It undergoes meiosis and results in the formation of spores. And this also includes four classes: Coelopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida and Pteropsida. So here you need to remember these examples. So examples of a Coelopsida is a Coelotum, and Lycopsida is a Selaginella and Lycopodium, and Spinopsida contains Equiseta, and Teropsida contains Dryopteris and Teres. So this is about the pteridophytes. So up to here we completed about a non-flowering plants. So gymnosperms and angiosperms are called the flowering plants. So gymnosperms contains a medium-sized trees or tall trees or shrubs. In these organisms, the ovule remains exposed, means they do not contain a covering over the ovules. And here the roots combine with the fungi to form symbiotic association, and it also contains a coralloid roots for nitrogen fixation. So the atmospheric nitrogen is fixed by these plants. And here the stems may be branched or unbranched, and the leaves may be simple or compound but well developed. And it contains a male and a female gametophyte but do not have free living existence, means they do not live freely. They are both present in the same plant. And the examples include Pinus and Cycas. This is about gymnosperms. Let us deal about the angiosperms. This group includes the plants which we daily see in our lives. So angiosperms here contains pollen grains and ovules which are present in the specialized structures called flowers. So in the flowers, pollen grains and ovules are present, and here as in gymnosperms the ovules remain exposed, but here the seeds are enclosed in the fruits. And these group plants are useful for the fuel, food, medicine and for the commercially important products. And it contains two classes, dicotyledons where two cotyledons are present, and a monocotyledon, single cotyledon is present. And here the male sex organ is called a stamen, it contains anther, and the female sex organ is called pistil, it contains ovary, style and stigma, and the ovules are present in the ovary. So as we can see this diagram, the male sex organ is called stamen, it contains anther. So this is the male sex organ. This is called a filament, and this structure is called a anther. So this is a male sex organ. And the female sex organ is called a pistil. So this is a pistil. It contains ovary, style and stigma. So this is ovary, this is a style and this is a stigma. The ovules are present inside the ovary. So here the ovules are present inside the ovary, whereas in gymnosperms the ovules remain exposed. So when we see this cycle in these angiosperms, here ovules contains megaspore mother cells. So inside the ovary ovules are present. Inside the ovules megaspore mother cells are present. So these undergoes meiosis to form 4 megaspores. So among those 4 megaspores, 3 megaspores degenerate and the 1 megaspore develop into embryo sacs. So this is a diagram of an embryo sac. So the embryo sac contains one egg cell. So this is a center egg cell. This is called an egg cell. And the 2 synergids. These 2 are called the synergids. 3 antipodal cells. So these 3 are the antipodal cells and 2 polar nuclei. So these are 2 polar nuclei. So here each cell is in a haploid condition. So here 2 polar nuclei combine to form diploid secondary nucleus. So in the center these 2 polar nuclei combine and to form diploid secondary nucleus. So this is about embryo sac. So during fertilization, male gamete fuses with the egg cell. So pollen from the anther combines with the egg cell. So here the pollen combines with the egg cell and form zygote. Whereas other male gamete also enters and fuses with the secondary nucleus. So here this diploid nucleus is called as a secondary nucleus. And this one is called egg cell. One male gamete fuses with the egg cell and forms zygote. Another male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to form pen, which is nothing but primary endosperm nucleus. So here this zygote develops into an embryo. This primary endosperm nucleus is developed into the endosperm. Means what is the use of endosperm? Means it provides a nutrition to this egg cell. So here one fertilization undergoes with the egg cell and the another one is a secondary nucleus. So hence it is known as a double fertilization. So after the fertilization the ovules develop into the seeds and the ovary develops into the fruits. So this is all about the classification of plants and the kingdom Monera, Protista and Fungi. In the latter video, we can learn about the classification of a kingdom Animalia. So if you have any doubts, please drop down in the comment box, and if you need explanation on any topic, please feel to ask. And thanks for watching, and please subscribe my channel.